Hello fellow YouTubers and welcome to Ads Drives. In this video I'm going to be going through the state of Unifi Security as I personally know it, and I'll just share with you my experience so far with Unifi and their products. So basically a couple cameras and this Floodlight with the motion detect sensor. Now this is my personal opinion. By no means it's anything personal against Unifi, anything like this. So I'm going to try to be as constructive as possible. Call it my diary of thoughts and events, if you will. So let's go straight to it. So this is the kit that I have. All my endeavors with Unifi started with this, and this is just a wireless access point, one connectivity port there to provide the PoE connection, so basically the power and the internet connectivity, if you will, and it worked flawlessly. I had very little issues with connectivity, speed, uptime, anything like that. So great product overall, and they seem to be doing quite great in that regard. Now later I've upgraded my kit to also allow recording onto the local storage, which was brilliant because I could get rid of my ring, which was recording and keeping the recordings up to a month. I needed to pay subscription, all that, so it was nonsense. And then I got this little camera, which Unifi was selling at a huge discount at the time. Half the price was around 45 euros, something like this. And this is just a wireless camera. It has audio as an audio in, audio out, so speaker and microphone, and obviously the camera provides night vision too. As you can hear it, I bashed it a few times. It works still perfectly fine. And I kind of spread it everywhere around my apartment because I needed some sort of a footage when I was going on holidays, just to make sure everything's fine at home and my pets are, fine. So yeah, so eavesdropping camera, if you will, and that worked great. And the quality is actually way better than what I had from Ring. So I decided to take the next step up and upgrade to this, which is a PoE, and which means, again, it provides the internet connectivity and power with one cable, internet cable. Obviously you need PoE capable device. So if you don't have a port that's PoE capable, you can buy something like this from them. It's not too expensive. It's called PoE injector, but obviously it's an extra cost. And ideally you should be buying something like these cables from them. So they kind of drag you into their ecosystem bit by bit. Starts, small, something like one wireless access point, maybe some sort of a router, and then it expands, which is exactly what happened to me. What I did find, oddly enough, is even though this is called G3 and this is called G5, the sensor is better in daylight, not as good in the nighttime, which is what I needed it for. Because, being security camera, most of things happen usually, at least in my area, during the night. So a little bit of disappointment. There are some ways to adjust it, but I'm not going to go through that. So overall, I did prefer this one. Having said that, still a good camera and a good price. But then what I decided to do is get this bad boy and mount it on the balcony, basically overviewing the balcony and, the neighboring area, just in case. When I got this, I didn't read their description and installation manual. That was my fault. And the problem was that, so you can mount it two ways. You can mount it on the pole using this bracket, or you can mount it directly to a wall using that bracket. Now, in my case, I need some sort of a junction box to mount it on, because I would need the cable then to run to the entry point into the house. And that cable would be completely exposed, which would be a problem, obviously, because there's no point having a security camera if somebody can just snip the cable. I did reach out to Unifi and I got no resolution from them. The support wasn't really knowledgeable. They were trying to be as helpful as possible, but they were not knowledgeable, and Unifi simply does not have anything to help you with in this regard. So you're kind of on your own. And that's kind of my bit of a gripe with them. Now, next thing I got this, so it's a Floodlight with a motion sensor, and it connects with the PoE as well to your system. So basically when the motion is detected, it can light up, and it can also trigger the camera, so the whole event is recorded. So I thought, brilliant, I really wanted something like this. Unusual to me is they only had black color. They don't even offer white, at least at the moment. And they include these two brackets. The problem with them is that if you mount it, I suppose, the way it should be mounted, like this on the wall, facing kind of downwards, so the area would be not too large that you're highlighting, because you don't want to annoy your neighbors or anything like this. You would need to mount it, if I'm not mistaken, at about 4.5 meters above ground, and I'll show you their installation manual, which is a bit crazy because I live in an apartment and 4.5 meters up from me is basically 2 apartments up, so that cannot be used. So then the only option for me would be that. And also another thing I noticed is when I'm mounting on this thing, if I'm mounting at 2 meters, this thing is not detecting any motion here whatsoever. I can literally come over and touch the top of it and it wouldn't detect the motion. So that's kind of a bit unusual. So out of the question. When I mount it using this bracket, it's perfect. Obviously it's a bit in my neighbor's face, but what can you do? That was just a test phase for now. And the motion detection worked much better. However, the problem is the motion angle is 120 degrees. Again, I'm going to go through all that, meaning while the detection from the front is great, detection coming from the sides is pretty much non-existent. So you could literally mount it, say, in the middle of your balcony. Somebody could come from left, right side or whatever and knock it off and it wouldn't trigger. So that's a bit of a oversight. I think there should be 2 of these mounted kind of facing left and right in order to detect this motion coming from left and right or something like this. I'm not sure what's the best solution, but that would be one of them. So yeah, that's pretty much my experience in terms of the products themselves, except for one more little addition. You have to use the included screws. And what I mean by that, so for instance, if I open this one, there are 2 screw holes here that I can basically screw this bracket onto the wall and then I can mount this on. That's perfect. However, if you're not using the included screws, the screw head is too large, you won't get anything done there. Basically, you'll be stuck without mounting it on the wall. Another one was this one, and once again, same issue. Once you have a flat bracket here to mount it on the ceiling, if you're not using included screws, it wouldn't close completely and you wouldn't be able to mount it on your ceiling, which is kind of, how can you do something like that? And again, for outside, once again, if you're not using the included screws, the screws will not be recessed correctly and you won't be able to close the bracket, you won't be able to secure it, and it's gonna leak some water in. So that's a bit of an oversight, and I want you to be aware of these small little things. So keep in mind how you mount them and whatnot. So on their website, they advertise their security cameras and NVRs, and I filtered by outdoor exposed, meaning you can mount the camera completely exposed to the elements. Now, having a look at that, straight away I see some issues. G3 Flex and G5 Flex, as far as I'm aware, are not rated for that, and I'll show you in a second. However, G4 Instant and G3 Instant is, and G3 Instant is not listed anymore. They chose to omit that. If you have a look at G3 Instant, you can mount it basically right in the elements, and that's fine as long as you don't mount it upside down. And there's some instructions there how to do all that. If you look at the G5 Flex, however, once again, as I mentioned, you have to use their cable or some sort of very similar cable that's very flexible. And if you look at their mounting options, once again, it is not supposed to be completely exposed. We don't recommend that at all. Now, G5 Bullet, everything's fine, but as I mentioned, the cable is not protected in any of their diagrams, and good luck with that, but it can be mounted outside. And last but not least, the motion detector. As I mentioned to you before, when you're mounting it, you have to keep in mind the field of view. So for instance, if you're mounting it at 3 meter height, it's fine for anything coming towards the motion detection, but anything coming from left and right, as you see, would not be covered. So keep in mind and look at their website before you purchase any of their products, because, well, you'll be caught and you'll have to pay the return fees. So that's it, guys, basically. I'm not too happy about their website. They are basically advertising on the website the way they sell the product to you, because it's not a full story. I'm not happy with their support, because even though they're trying to be as helpful as possible, they're not really knowledgeable, at least not the people I dealt with. My experience is not great overall. It's kind of, if it works, something like this, or something like that product for me, then you're laughing, everything's perfect. If something doesn't work, you kind of be guided to the forums. If warranty is covering it, you'll just send it through automatically, kind of a bit like an Amazon style, or you'll be on your own. That's pretty much it from my side. Let me know, guys, what's your story with Unifi, with their products, with their support, and what do you think in terms of where they're heading, at least with the security system, down in the comment section below. So yeah, thanks for watching. Have a nice day.